Hey folks, I'm Jack Fossett, and welcome to this demo and review of the Epiphone Sheraton II semi-hollow body electric guitar. I'm really excited to finally get my hands on one of these because I've been looking for a Sheraton for a while to do some demos and some shootouts, because a lot of people have been asking for shootouts. Those are coming very soon. I've done a lot of Epiphone shootouts, and it seems to be something that a lot of people are really interested in, which I can appreciate because these are cool guitars that are much more reasonably priced, and a lot of the hollow bodies are pretty similar but also very different. So this one, the Riviera Custom P93, the Casino, and there are various smaller body ones as well as bigger jazz box style ones like the Broadway or the Joe Pass, and then there's the Swingster, which is kind of like a Gretsch. There's a whole bunch of Epiphone hollow body guitars, so I'm going to be getting to that. For now, this is a demo and review of this specific one. This is an Epiphone Sheraton II. It's a more recent one. This is not the Pro, so this doesn't have the push-pull pots and things. This is a standard Sheraton II. This is a semi-hollow dual humbucker guitar. So for those of you that don't know, and I've talked about this in the other videos, but for those of you that don't know what a semi-hollow guitar is this is not a fully hollow body guitar. This has a big honkin' center block of wood through the middle, which does, just the long and short of it is it does two things. It limits sustain, and it also allows you to have the neck joint higher because you have, this big block of wood. So I suppose the other thing is it allows you to have the stop bar tailpiece as opposed to a trapeze tailpiece. Not that that's necessarily a benefit. That would be a whole tangent for another time, but it gives you the stop bar tailpiece, gives you higher access to the upper frets because the neck joint can be higher, and it limits some sustain. It also tends to limits some feedback. It also tends to significantly increase sustain. The notes ring out longer because there's more of a piece of wood vibrating here, whereas, when this is a fully hollow chamber like on the Casino, the note kind of dissipates more into the air, which gives it more of an airiness. This gives it a bit of a thicker, longer tone. Neither's right or wrong. There's benefits to each and everything. This guitar sounds great. This is a killer blues guitar. It's a great jazz guitar, and you can even do some really great rock stuff with it and everything. Because of the semi-hollow design, you can lay into it with a little bit more gain without worrying about feedback. I'm really impressed with the quality of the sound and everything right off the bat. I think off the bat, this and the Casino have been my two favorites. And this one really just screams to want to be played blues on. That's kind of my impression. It really makes me think of, kind of BB King and even like you can do some cool Joe Bonamassa stuff on this and everything, particularly later Joe, where he's not using as much gain as like, early to mid Joe when he was using like the Silver Jubilee. This really gets that nice warm growl and attack and everything. And I really like the humbuckers in it. These are standard humbuckers. It's, not different pickups and everything. And the standard humbuckers don't sound cheap, That's one of the cool things about Epiphone is you can get a higher quality guitar for less money, generally speaking. That's a very respectable guitar. Somebody sees you play this at a gig and you've got nothing to feel ashamed of. This is one you can really show off to your friends and things. And it's got great features on it. It has a nice tortoiseshell pickguard. It has the gold hardware, of course. I really like the amber knobs. I've seen it with both amber knobs and reflector knobs. Both really look good, to be honest. It has nice cream binding, and it has the inlays as well as the Gorgeous Headstock and gold Grover tuners. Now, the interesting thing about this guitar is it harkens back to the original Epiphone Sheratons, but not all the way. Like, for instance, the Casino is really a dedicated reissue. It's very much like, with the exception of a couple of cut corners to make it more affordable. It's very much like the original Epiphone Casinos were, or I should say the popular era of the Beatles era of the Casinos. This one is a little bit different in the sense, the headstock is shaped a little bit differently. It's not quite as slender as the originals. The other thing is an original Epiphone Sheraton would have had mini humbuckers in it, at least the era that I'm familiar with. And mini humbuckers were popular in Epiphone guitars in the vintage days. And this one has the standard humbuckers. Now, I don't know what the reason for that, if there is a reason for that. I don't know if nowadays it's just easier to come by humbuckers to put in these guitars. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's a 100% dedicated reissue. It is pretty vintage in styling, unless you get the one with the push-pull pots and stuff. Obviously, that's not vintage. But this is pretty vintage in styling. It's got a real nice thick neck. Grover tuners are probably, I don't think the originals had Grover tuners, but the Grover tuners are a nice little update. And the humbuckers just sound great. And I think this is a really nice guitar in Epiphone's line. The black, the ebony finish, this is just gorgeous. And again, that part of it is that the black and the gold really makes me think BB King because it reminds me of Lucille, even though Epiphone also makes a Lucille model. But, that with the block inlays, it's just a really stunning guitar and great for blues. I haven't had any feedback issues except controllable, so that definitely works with the center block. I found that it's very nicely bright, which surprised me. And one of the reasons it surprised me is because generally on consumer level guitars, you're going to get cheaper wiring and cheaper pickups. And with cheaper wiring and cheaper pickups, you generally get a duller tone with a little bit less life to it. And I didn't really find that. I thought these actually had a really nice sound to them. I didn't really want them to be any brighter, and if I wanted them to be darker, I can just roll the tone off. So I thought they sit really, really nicely. They weren't giving me too much treble. It was really just enough, and I like that. That's, it's great when you get a guitar where you're just like, no, I don't want to change any of that stuff. I'm just going to keep it the way that it is. Because it can be fun to tinker, but it can also be like, oh, I got to do this, and, to make it sound. And so it's nice to get a guitar that right off the bat, you're like, yeah, that sounds good and everything. For this demo, I'm plugging into a solid-state amp, actually, but it's an awesome solid-state amp that sounds like a tube amp. It's the new One Control BJF F66. It's based on a Fender Blackface amp. I'm using the clean channel with a little bit of reverb, and I'm also going to be plugging in a One Control Silver Bee overdrive for the overdriven tones. So that's where I'm getting the tone from, going into the amp and the pedal and everything, and really kind of keeping it straightforward. I'm Jack Fossett. Check out the Epiphone Sheraton II. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.